one.
That was. Thank you very much indeed. We're here. Got Monday, episode 502 tonight. Beautiful guest, Ayu Sudana. Again, like it isn't that often that I get a chance to sit down with a Balinese woman who is really redefining what it is from culture, business, life in general. So tonight I'm really looking forward to dive deep, and you're going to love her as much as I do. I'm very sure about that. So, but just to get us started, give you a bit of an intro so you can put the mic down. It's going to be a while. She's there with the mic in her hand like, am I going to speak now?
I'm ready, always ready.
It might take a while. So as I mentioned before, this week, SpeakuP shines a powerful spotlight on the rise of Balinese women in leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation, from global relocation to specialty coffee, from sustainable agriculture to luxury development. Her journey is a masterclass in resilience, creativity, heart-led leadership. And this episode is a celebration of women who build, lead, uplift, and redefine what's possible. So just to give you an idea of the companies of which she has started and is playing a leading role. So in no particular order, Bali Beans Coffee, then UTTAMA Hospitality, UTTAMA Furniture, and Tranquility Bali is luxury development. A little bit of background. So Ayu Sudana is Balinese-born entrepreneur and visionary, combining international excellence with deep local wisdom. With 19 plus years across the Middle East, Asia, and Europe, she blends luxury hospitality, sustainable farming, and boutique real estate into a unique ecosystem of conscious business. So I won't read all of this because I want to hear it from her, but part of her mission is make investing in Bali secure, transparent, and high-performing while honoring heritage and empowering local communities. Now, some of the takeaways from tonight is where Balinese women rise, honoring the soul of Bali, and transparent, sustainable, high-performing investment. A little bit about me, the host of SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia, founder of PT Career Life Group, Gateway to Indonesia for Business, awarded #1 changemaker in Bali, the one, a social fund in sitting here. You remember that one? Named top 10 motivational speaker in South Asia, that's CEO Insights Asia. We've been recognized by the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, Forbes Business Council, Founder Institute Bali, and Startup Grind Bali. And we've hosted now over 1,000 plus leaders, over 500 plus episodes. There have been more than 10,000 of you who are sitting here in person, watching, connecting, networking, and really kind of meeting people, which I love. And 1 million plus online views. And it's always been about building bridges between Indonesia and the world through people, inspire people, unity and diversity, and entrepreneurship and social impact. Round of applause, because that was long. Mamma mia. Woo-hoo. Yeah. Woo. Now my favorite part, the actual Q&A itself. So look, Ayu, firstly, welcome to the show.
Thank
right?
you.
I want to shout out our mutual brother, Anastasio.
Yes.
So it was Anastasio and his tennis group that we established, which is how I came to meet you. And, some of the things at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're playing tennis is that when someone has a will to win and a competitive desire, you kind of know that this is part of who they are, right? So the first time I met you, it was like that. It was like, I want to win. I was like, it was 6:30
like
in the
6
morning.
guys.
And the only woman,
Only woman.
in front of 6 guys. So one of the things, right, that comes up is, you strike me as a person of purpose, a woman of purpose. But where did you find that purpose, or where did that purpose find you? What would you say?
Oh, actually, it's quite, my God, I have to go back long way back. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity being here, and thank you so much for everyone to come to see me. to hearing my story. So yeah, Robert, it's a long way actually. um, it's actually started from, as you know, Bali. If you imagine what Bali is like, we're talking about, my God, 37, 40 years ago. It's completely different to what it is today. So I coming actually from a little village in the north of Bali. The road was not as it today. It was a very, very, very small road, and even like we don't have even an asphalt, you know, and we don't even have electricity actually coming into our village until 1996. So I still remember I used to go to school with a black nose. Um, and then everyone that you wipe it, and then at the end of the day, I pack my clothes and then helping my parents in the farms, and obviously TV just coming in as well at the time. And I watched a lot of things on TV, whatever, it was very limited channels and stuff. I always imagining.
So, you were saying, so, you know, Plaga,
Yeah.
the village in North Bali, for those of you who know where Plaga is, and the wine also, if some of you will remember. So, what I'm getting is that, as you mentioned, you were pretty remote,
Yes.
and, but you were brought up on your parents' values of hard work. You were brought up on the being useful to others.
Yes.
I think in the West we have this challenge with me and we. Here, clearly you can see the we, helping the community, helping the family. And then you mentioned about, like the bit that interests me, was it TV, or why did you feel Canggu moment? As you know already, those who come. What was it though about your background that led you to dreaming?
I think the simpleness of to answer is
Mentioned. So moments when you're growing up that you felt like, I've been dreaming this dream, imagining on what it would be like, and then when did you get your first win, or you saw something which was like, you know what, I think I might be able to do this?
oh my God, since it's quite a long story actually. I almost, how do you call it? I almost, my God, there's one couple of things, the darkest moment in my life that I had experienced. And I thought my imaginations when I childhood would never come true. So this is where my story gonna come about. Is basically, obviously. So I'm gonna continue a little bit because I'm gonna heading to your answer to it after. So I grow older, and then my parents never encouraged me to be a actually. And then I was like, and then at the same time, during that time, I always see my friends who came from the same village with me. They were so happy because they have a new school, starting new life, like in the ground. I was like one of the best moment. On top of that, couple of months after, in one of the evening, and someone knocking door on our home, actually giving a news that my brother just had a motorbike accident. It was covered up full of blood, and then he almost lost his legs on the right hand, right legs. He was had a bump with the. Then I was like, my God, cannot can be worse, you know. So from me not going to school, from me like helping my parents, the crop wasn't that good that time, and then plus my brother got motorbike accident, and at the same time, one of my mom, obviously my parents, my dad decided to stay at home just so that we had no money. We had no money, Robert, at all. Even that, even my family financial that time is already kind of minus. You know, like we had nothing in the pockets because we have society to feed. As you know, we have a community, we have a Banjar, we have Desa to feed, and then they got 4 kids. And I have my younger little brother. I have 2 olders. So it was literally chaotic. And plus, my dad is the number 11 of the generation, and you know what it means in Balinese, right? He's taking care of the family homes, which is from my grandparents. So which that means, imagine my dad is 11 siblings, and how many kids do they have? It's almost like the entire village that we need to feed in our old home, because that is supposed to be his job to do it in Balinese culture, because he's the youngest guy in the house. So anyway, so this happened, and I end up like I had to looking after my brother during this recovery time. But my family, my mom, my goodness, like they had to go to every corners of the neighbor and to borrow money. And then all I was trying to help them is to ease their kind of, you know, the struggle is by helping them by just, you know, help pull around my brother. And then it was so chaotic and it was so dark, and I decided to leave homes when I was 14, because for me, I was like, it was so much.
So just to quickly interject here, so you're painting a picture of the childhood, and you've had repeated times where you felt let down, where things didn't go to plan, right? And then you're moving now into the fact that, okay, my question to you then, because I want to break up the story, otherwise it's going to be 25 minutes of a story. In those moments where these things were happening around you and to your family, so what was the inner process of your thinking and feeling? For example, life, if it was a victim mentality, life keeps on hitting me, why me?
Yes.
Right? It could be a victim, or it could be, you know what, this is just giving me more things, more strength, more resilience. But if I can go through this, I can go through anything. Like, what was your mental state and how did you regulate it?
So I think when you're that down, that dark moment, and I just came up and I just said, cannot be it. Cannot be my life. I literally decided to refuse that fate for me. And that's why I left my home. So, and then I get a job in Sanur, actually north of Bali, east of Bali, in a little shop. That's where I was recollecting. I learned my English. I learned to communicate what I can learn from my school that time, only 9 grades. How far do you learn? Not much. So then I learned to communicate, and I changed job to Nusa Dua, and I changed job. Finally, I got a good job in Jimbaran seafood restaurants. So we're talking about in 2003, 2004. And then I was doing so well for myself. And I'm so glad I came out of that house. I didn't hear much of my family that time, because I was also trying to figure out my life. I think being a kid, so being left out alone, and I was just like, focus with myself, because I just refused to accept the fact. And then I actually got help from the one of the owner of the restaurant that time. It helped me to send me to school in high school. So I do working during the day, in the afternoon, like from 3 o'clock to 10 in the evening, and then in the morning I go to the school. So this is actually the story begins, and I work in the tourism. That's where I learned my English as well.
So 3 till 10, right? And then going, for how long were you doing that?
Oh, I have to do it for 3 years.
3 years?
Yes. Yes.
What kept you going?
I think it's just, I had no choice. You know, when you're left with no choice, you just have to keep going. So that's how I actually keep going. Yeah.
So you felt, because at the end of the day, we always have a choice, right? When you think about it, right? But you felt as though you didn't have a choice.
Yes.
Okay.
Now just because of the lack of education that I had, right? Lack of education, and plus on top of that was really good, decent offer. And then the one thing that I think much more powerful than anything is that person believe in me. Because he could literally hire someone else and to be the job, but he believing in me. And for me to have that opportunity when someone believing in me, I will remember the rest of my life. So that's what keep me going, and I don't want to disappoint this person who kind to me, and that's why it was kind of one of the reasons I kept going.
You know, look, again, we could go through your story all the way, but I want to keep breaking it up. But I love that, right? So what you're saying again is that a person it wasn't your family member, it wasn't your friend, it wasn't, you know, random guy believed in you, right? By the way, if you want a seat, just come around this way, darling. But come around, come around. Thank you. Love that, right? So, because again, we're leaving breadcrumbs because part of this preparing for, not even preparing because there's no preparation, we go. But people were saying to me, some women were saying to me, I want to hear how she did it. I want to know her mindset, her heart set, what was she thinking, feeling that created that inertia for her to go. And that's also why I'm spending a little bit more time on your backstory, but we'll get to the others. The bit which I'd love to know is, by the way, people in the audience, if you haven't been before, you were speaking on a microphone before on purpose because you're going to have an opportunity to ask questions, right? In about 15 minutes, I would say. So when you do have a question, you know how the mics work. Feel free to raise your hand. I'll let you know when that time comes. So one of the things that we kind of that's coming across is that you're Balinese born, right? And you have the Balinese background and you're in touch with Bali completely. But then you also moved overseas and then came back.
Yes.
So then my question specifically then is, why did you move overseas and what brought you back?
Okay. I'm going to take a deep breath before to answer. Okay, so I was enjoying my job. I'm going to continue my story because that's going to be giving you the answer of your question as well. I continue my job and then things happen in Bali. I don't know, many of you know, there's a second bomb take place in 2005, right? That is actually right on the beach, so close to where I used to work. I work in a Jimbar and seafood restaurants. And suddenly the tourism was when collapsed. And for me, that was the only source that I have. And whilst also that time, I managed to pick up my younger brother back to the village to take him with me, live with me in 2x2 meter of kos-kosan. I don't know if any of you know kos-kosan. So, and then decided, because my parents also still struggling with financially, and then they decided not to send my little brother to school. And I said to myself, and I said to him, no, you cannot have the same fate as I am, not being supported to school at least, because I think education, I hope one day, at least education for free in Indonesia. You know, I think everyone should be entitled to education.
We're gonna get to that.
So anyway, so then I decided to came to my home and pick up my brother, and he came live with me. And then the bomb thing happened. I lost my job because they couldn't keep as much as people on the beach, and so many even countries, they send private airplane to pick up their own people from Bali. And honestly, and this is happening the second time, by the way, around. So the first bomb happened in 2002, and then this happened 2005. So it was like the worst effect for Bali that time, you know. And then actually for me, and I was like, I need to find another solution. So again, situation forced me to find another solution, you know, with my capability, knowledge that time. I only have like, okay, maybe speaking really little English. I don't even speak English really well. Little knowledge, and my experience only waitress on the beach seafood restaurant. So how do I do this? And then obviously then, that time there's so many hirings happening to work abroad, like Maldives, like Dubai, like in a cruise line. So it's a lot of people because they love hospitality of Bali. And I just thought, maybe why not I try something else, because I have no choice in Bali, because I couldn't get a job. Because for me also to get a job in the normal office in outside of tourism, I couldn't do it. I only just graduated high school. Not even like, they're looking for like diploma. They're looking for someone who are graduate, like, you know, university graduate, you know, and stuff. So that actually brought me to, I start my work in Maldives to start with.
You know what? And after you're going to see why. Is it still the same now in Bali, do you think? So you spoke very briefly about you would love to see in Indonesia where education is free, right? I
would love to see that.
A good standard of education is free. So you also mentioned that the only job that you could get was in hospitality because you didn't have the diploma to do an office job. So do you still see that same thing happening now?
Yes, very much. I think in a way, some difference, you know, it's a very wider answer to that, but it's still happening a lot right now. People still watch the degree, still people see the certificate, but yeah, so that's why I'm just hoping education should be available for everyone, regardless they have money or not.
Because, you know, part of the reason why we're jamming together, you love Bali, I love Bali, is that there's something that we want to see in Bali, right? And again, you are, for me, you are such a powerful lady. You have entrepreneurship, you have businesses going on, and you have the ability to make dreams a reality, which is a skill, right? A lot of people dream, but they're not able to ground it, right? Which is one step, two step. And I think what I would love to see you do, and I'm happy to support you in any way that this happens, and there's some things I'm working on which I want to bring you into, is then how do we actually create an environment where that can happen, where education is either free or very, very cheap, in a way that then the accessibility to Balinese is there should they wish to take it.
Yeah. I think today's world in Bali, I notice is obviously, for me, I spent quite a lot of time in Dubai and different part of the world. I think changing quite a lot already. A lot of parents, they more eager to give the education for their children, which is really, really proud to see it, you know, because you created children in the world. I think you should be responsible of your kids' well-being as well, right? I'm not saying my parent wasn't, but they didn't have no choice because of the world back then was completely different to what it's today. I think education is a bit more accessible, and I love the way the fact that obviously the screen is available for everyone to watch, you know, like regardless, you know, what the content. That's why one thing that I hope one day also Bali have a rule and regulation when it comes to social media, because I think so far there have always been so much negativity that we see because the kids watch it every day. So I hope, because the people who doesn't have money to send their kids, they sometimes they have money for the kids to just not doing much at home, and then they let them to be on the phone. So I want to be able, I mean, you know, social media should be a safe place as well for kids to learn.
Love it. So okay, so now you're in the Maldives, right? The Maldives.
Yes.
So again, and now we're going to paraphrase, keep it a little bit shorter. So then you mentioned about Dubai, okay?
Yes.
So how do these things connect, and maybe find the key points of the story that led you to that?
So after spending time in Maldives, I don't know, have you been to Maldives? It's a very small island. It's very, very small island. It's a beautiful island, and everyone go there for holiday, and people pay a lot of money to go there. Beautiful resort, like, oh my God, name it. All the best resort is available in Maldives. But for me to live there, it was literally in the middle of nowhere. So for me to go to the city was so far away, so I have to take a seaplane or a boat. And then to go to cinema, I have to go to another city. It was, for me, it's not the city that I would imagine when I'm in Bali, you know, because in Bali, I'm working abroad. I want to see tall buildings. I want to see connected with people. But instead, I was in a small island. And that time, we still have the internet cafe. So I do a bit of research, what's going on. I'm obviously listening to people, because for me, listening is my key of actually one of the success that I have. I love listening to people and observe what they're saying and learn from the good side of it. And I listened to my friend. She was applying the job in Dubai. I was like, okay, Dubai. And then I Googled Dubai. No, not Google, Yahoo Dubai at the time. So we use Yahoo. I use Yahoo, and you know, chatting with Yahoo Messenger and stuff.
You guys are old in this audience, man. I hear everyone laugh. It's like, you know, if you remember Yahoo, you're old, okay?
It's in Google, right?
I remember Yahoo too, okay, just so you know.
And the internet cafe, right? You guys remember internet cafe? And all the Yahoo chat, that's where I learned my English as well, learning how to communicate with random people.
Random people, that's the second one. Random person who was the first to back you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Random people, are you?
So we talk a lot about Dubai, and Dubai at that time was like their moment of time of their life, I would say, you know, Dubai is just about to shine. And I applied a job to Dubai, and I got a job. And the same, I was in a hotel because that's I know. So when I landed in Dubai, I was like staying in a hotel accommodation. I don't know any of you been to Dubai. I'm sure my friend actually been in Dubai. And you know, when you work in a hotel in Dubai, you have dedicated accommodation from the hotel. And then you will share a room. And one room is 4 people, by the way. So It's very strict. The security is very strict because when you're a woman in Dubai, they just don't want things happen bad to you, to the woman especially, right? And then, so I stay there, and then we have little old buses that pick us up, and then go to the hotel for work, uniform, get changed in the hotel, and then go to work. So this is what my daily work was look like during that time. And then obviously I got a good, decent job. It's one of 5-star hotels. It's Grosvenor House, Dubai. And then I got a chance, obviously, to work under the chef. I think you probably know him, Gary Rhodes. He's a celebrity chef. Sadly, he's already passed away 4-5 years ago, I think. He got sleep and then hit his back and stuff. So I got a chance to work in his restaurant. So he's a 5 Michelin restaurant, a celebrity chef from the UK. So imagine what the British culture, everything has to be proper. Like, you know, the glass has to be in the perfect place. The spoon, the pork. When you're gonna serve bread, who's gonna be first? The ladies first, and you know, all those kind of things, and the cutleries, and all those kind of things. And then it has to be, you know, all the glass has to be shine. It has to be clean and everything. And to be honest with you, I was like, in my mind, it was so much to learn. It was so much challenging. But I thought myself, okay, I will do it. I'll just pretend that I'm in university. Because I didn't have the chance to learn those kind of things when I was in Bali, because my experience was only just in the seafood restaurants, you know, like everyone eat by their own hands and lobster and everything else. But then, yeah, so I was just thought, okay. And I was working for him for 2 years. But at the same time, we have so many high-class clients going to that restaurant. And obviously for me, from Bali, I'm friendly, I'm talk to people and everything else. I make so many friends. And I asked them, what do you do in Dubai? How they can afford this food? Like, we're talking about like when someone going out for dinner, they spend like, you know, that time, they spend like 9 million just for 2 person. It's a lot. That time, by the way. And now, probably more. They probably spend at least 16 or 25 million for just for 2 person to be in dining in Gary Rhodes restaurant.
And this is where you mentioned about one of your superpowers is listening. Right?
Yes.
So you're interviewing.
I did,
the people in Dubai which can afford that lifestyle. And then, so what are you listening to? What are you picking up that you then take with you to create what comes next?
It took me a while to figure out, and I realized that God, working in hotel in Dubai, there's actually no money, you know. And I was like, I'm so materialistic, and I'm like, I come to Dubai so that my family can have a better life, so I could have a better lives, because my family in back home is still paying the death also of my brother's you know, accident as well that time, and my younger brother was in university. So for me, like, okay, I'm not doing in the right things right now, so what should I do? So through these connections, I met so many beautiful people. They're very super like inspiring people. And then so one of them offered me a job actually in their office, to learn to be a PA.
Love it. So, okay. So, because in a minute I want to go to the audience, right? It's in about 10 minutes. So we're going to get there in 10. So, okay. Here's the question, right? And we'll go straight to it. So, what I love about your story is that there's certain things which I keep hearing, keep repeating. One is that you keep putting yourself in a position where you feel like you have no choice except to succeed. I heard that a few times. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Another one is, obviously you mentioned about the superpower of being able to hear. See, we hear, but we don't listen oftentimes. So in other words, we're in the act of hearing, but we don't actually to enter into our soul, into our brain, and then to make things make sense. Ask ourselves critical questions, and are able to draw down the answer to that question. If we don't know the answer, to ask, then we get the answer and we can use it. So my question then to you, and then we're going to get into your businesses now. So if there was one thing that you could take from Dubai, and the same with the other places where you've lived, because it's not just Dubai, right? So maybe choose 2. There was one thing that you could take that you look back now and say, well, that was a secret to my success, or something that was very close to it. What would that be? And whichever comes to mind. So just choose one from Dubai and then one from somewhere else where you live, and say, you know what? that thing there that I learned from this fellow about that, and that, that's the thing which I took and allowed me to flourish in this area. Okay.
So this is going to be also in the story. Okay.
But the
reason why I'm going to share with you.
Okay.
So when, like, I went back to where I got a job in Jimbaran earlier, and the same thing happened to me again in Dubai. So this random person given me opportunity again, because that's all I have. Like for me, I try to work whereby I don't need to look for a job. Job should look for me. So I always do the best, and I try to do the best. So that's why I don't have to look for a job. The job will come for me. So when I get job from this guy who came to the restaurants quite a lot, so it's like, my God, I never been working as a PA. What do I know? What do PA do? And we don't have Google at the time, right? No ChatGPT. Like, what do I do? It's like, in fact, I have to like do cross training and everything else and stuff. I'm like, okay, I need to be PA. Oh my God, the first 6 months I worked for him, he's a French guy. I'm still connected with him, and he knows I love him so much, and he loves me too. And it's like, the first 6 months, he made me cry every single day because I don't know background of computer. So he asked me to make Excel sheet and like pay slip for all the employees, and we have 250 employees in the company. And then he told me to send an email to like one guys and doing things and stuff. And I used to cry, and then I needed help. And people are in Dubai, they are very stingy with knowledge that time. And I don't blame them, because everyone in the race up to make money and doing things and stuff. And I have to learn. So how do I learn is, so when I work for him, I learn doing like a bit of course outside of my work so then I can go back. And then after 6 months, he's the guy well known for firing people. And it's like literally he's known for firing people. He has a company now in Bali, and it was just, I'll come to the story when he saw me a few years ago. And then he was the guy who would know firing people. And then I decided to leave him after a year and a half, and he cried. And he said to me, "You fired me." Because before that, he always chasing me for my reports. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I was like, change my mindset. I said, I'm not going to let this guy to chase me all the time. And I'm tired being chased all the time, report, all this thing. So I changed the way I think. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get it done in the morning before turn up in the office. So I changed the way I work with him. And that's what it's taught me and lead me to be, where I am today. It is the biggest lesson. So I don't like my work to chase me, but I finish my job.
There's two things that come up. One, Barbie over here, you two, this is Barbie. Say hi, Barbie. You two have got a lot in common. Anyway, so after have a chat. But the second thing, which is really the first thing, love that insight, right? So I got it. You overachieve at the work that you're doing. And then as you mentioned, it's about changing your mindset, seeing, and for the first 6 months you cried. And then after that, you're like, right, enough, I'm firing this guy. So that's from Dubai. What did you learn? One thing from somewhere else. What would that be?
From somewhere else, my God. I learned from somewhere else. From Singapore, I would say. Singapore is obviously ahead of Dubai at that time. And to be honest with you, I wanted to get a job that time. I moved to Singapore, and it was not easy. And then I learned myself, it's just to choose where you kind of fit in if you want to get something, right? Because you cannot be fit in everywhere. So Singapore wasn't good for me because I calculating of the lifestyles, of the cost of living and all those kind of things. So I decided actually move back to Dubai where I'm fit in, and then I decided to build more of focus on my career at the time.
Okay, so Singapore, I may have missed it. So what did you learn from Singapore, just to reiterate it?
It just, I'm not fit in there. Just because, again, my education is a new city, and then I don't know anybody.
So then perhaps what's there then is that if you go somewhere and it's not working, don't sweat it.
Don't
what is it? It was like Roger Federer, right? Who here knows Roger Federer? Just raise your hand if you're still awake. That. Yes, good. Do you know who Roger Federer is? Good. Okay, so Roger Federer, I think you're kidding me, right? You used to play tennis, you should know this. Roger is, okay, people know him as maybe the greatest of all time, and it's not necessarily due to what he won, but just the way that he did it, and the way that he comports himself and communicates amazing fellow. Anyway, so what he was saying was that, and I may not get this precisely correct. So he, as I mentioned, one of the greatest players of all time, but I think he was saying that it was something like I'll get straight to it, he won only 51% of the shots that he played during those winning times, 51%. Again, I'm missing out a lot of detail, but the point I'm trying to make is that his mentality, this is him saying, not me, is just another point. So oftentimes we get hung up and stuck up with trying to do this one thing the way that our ego wants it to be. But what you're saying about Singapore is saying, look, I went there, Singapore's great, but not for me. So I said, you know what, I'm out. Yes. So you left. All right, cool. So 5 minutes before we go to questions for the audience. So we have a few companies here, right? Yeah. So what I'd love you to do, and it might be a bit difficult, but let's see, is to give us a backstory, literally 1 or 2 minutes per company as to why you did it and why it's important. So why you did it and why it's important. So we've got a few here. We've got Bali Beans, UTTAMA Furniture, UTTAMA Hospitality, and Tranquility Bali, because they're different ones. Yes. So start however you want, but 1 or 2 minutes. Let's see if you can do it.
Okay, I'll start with Bali Beans. Obviously, Bali Beans is my childhood memories. And I thought what my parents doing is such a beautiful. And then living in Dubai, obviously after I left hospitality, I work in logistic and relocation and writer and work with the high-end network. But the one thing that I miss about Dubai when you do import a lot, because I move anything and everything from different part of the world during the logistic period of work. And I just miss one thing, that I pick up everything from the backyard and I cook it straight away. And that is like something you can't buy anywhere else except my home, basically, that time. So then plus on top of that, I go back home frequently. And then the people, the farmers in my hometown, they're doing exactly the same. Nothing changed on their life, except obviously the children and the kids. They're inspired by my journey because I was the first woman actually working abroad in my village. If you're looking at today, we have 60 kids actually working in a cruise line or different countries because they want to follow my path to be things. So with Bali Beans is I show these kids, like I went all the way different part of the world to learn my knowledge to become the new versions of me. And I decided to come back because actually there's so much opportunity in Bali, in our own home, that we don't know, that we like to utilizing it.
Thank you. That was really good. And it was 1 or 2 minutes. Are you killing the game?
Okay,
so next one, UTTAMA.
Okay. So UTTAMA is actually our new latest babies actually. So UTTAMA Hospitality, I love Balinese hospitality. And that's what is, I think, mainly people here in Bali. You know, like people love the people. If you're talking about infrastructure and other things, I know that's not one of the reasons for you all here, right? So I want to bring this hospitality one day to Dubai, to different part of the world, just because we need a lot more kindness. Because I know everyone been traveled to different part of the world, and I know the service is not as the same as in Bali, you know, in a way, the smile, the wellness, and people asking you, how are you? It's a simple things when you go to Dubai and everyone just like looking at each other and doesn't say anything. You know, I would love to bring that kind of hospitality back to people because it's such a stressful city to live, because it's expensive, because of the competitions and all things. But I think at least at the end, we are human. We like to be connected with people. And we just want to bring that as, as a gift from Bali, so to people.
And the furniture?
The furniture is also, I would love to share a piece of Bali, I think. Because that is something different, right? You know, the design, and it is made by heart. It's still a lot of it handmade, which is very rarely to get in anywhere in the world right now. And why not?
She's going so good. Now, Tranquility Bali, love that. Luxury development. So tell us about Tranquility Bali.
Tranquility Bali, I think some of you might have seen some videos in the backs. And this is actually dedicated to my islands, my home, and my people. So as so much development growing in Bali, and I see that Bali is moving away from the real Balinese authenticity, whereby, my goodness, we use, like example, river stone on the wall. It's like andesite stone on the floor. And we only find this type of material is only in the hotels right now, in the big resort that which is built long time ago before Bali's become today. And obviously because of that reason, we like to bring it back, and obviously using as well local architect, because also lot of local architect, they like to explore a bit more like Mediterranean looks or different kind of look, but people come to Bali for Bali. I think it just make more sense to do something that is Balinese authentic, and that's what I want to bring it back.
You know, yeah, round of applause for that. Woo, all right. I got one question. Kinga, are you still here? Just raise your hand. Great. Sadi, put your hand up. Now shake Kinga's hand. Good. You two should definitely chat. You probably chatted already. Good. Just making sure you're connected. Okay. So last question before I go to you all. So if you have a question in the audience, so think of it like this. Number one, raise your hand. Number two, the microphone will find its way to you. And then number three, close to your mouth. And the last one is, it's okay to plug yourself. Hi, my name's Rob from blah, 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 blah. But then please go straight to your question, okay? What we're trying to avoid is like a long monologue about, I don't know, something, right? Because I will cut you off, only because what we're trying to do here is get the maximum value. So if you have a question, hi, my name is blah, 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 my company is X, my question is bang. Make sense? All right, beautiful. All right. So look, one of the things that we wanted to talk about that you've touched upon a number of times, you know, and we have both touched upon, is that Bali, and I'll quickly mention it, Terrier, put your hand up. There you go. This fellow over here is Terrier, Norwegian. So Terrier and I and 3 or 4 others are founders of, it's called Bali Tourism and Investment Chamber. And it's the first time where an organization, a chamber, has an opportunity for foreign investors to interact and engage directly with government, local, regional, national. Okay, number one. Number two, it's an opportunity, you know, for socialization to happen. So this, what I mean by socialization is that when government comes up with a new policy, then not that foreigners or local interests have a chance to change a policy necessarily, but have a chance to kind of, we're thinking about launching this, can you give us your feedback? And oftentimes when you ask for feedback from the people that are directly affected, it impacts what you're about to roll out, okay? And then another important point, Elvira Wason, who is the mama of Bye Bye Plastic Bags, Malati Wason and Yasmin, and Utopia, sustainability. So it's about creating and nurturing and supporting a sustainable future for Bali, all right? Helping, supporting, right? So these things in mind, as a Balinese woman, as an entrepreneur, you know, what is it, and this can be a few things, that you see where there might be a disconnect in Bali, and where would you like to see some solutions happen? I've been deliberately vague because I don't want to steer you in any particular direction. I just want you to talk about what's on your heart and to give you some help, not that you need it. One, internal, you've spoken about education. That's an internal thing where I believe BTIC can actually help too. But what are the other, maybe choose 1 or 2 that you feel Bali going forward into the future needs to have to be supported in order for it to develop in a sustainable way that maintains this connection, because we're all here for culture. That's why foreigners come to Bali. Number 1 is culture. So how do we do that?
I think first of all, Bali need to be clear where we're heading as a brand, because Bali is a brand. And how do we take care of this brand? The one thing that inspired me, like being in Dubai, regardless, I know many people doesn't feel like Dubai is a place, is a fake, is a place that not everybody want to be live there. But for me, Dubai actually built me. Dubai showed me that I want to be better, I want to be bigger, I want to be the best. And then Bali has to be doing similar thing. Example, if we still rely on tourism, we have to know how to handle tourists. And then obviously, but this is the one thing that I think is quite very interesting for all of us. And I see this 18 years ago in Dubai where everything was just so mess, regulations and keep changing on things that doesn't even need to change and stuff. But now, if you're looking at Dubai, 18 years there, they done it. And I think Bali right now is that 18 years ago Dubai. So just give it a bit of time to see what's going on to happen. And I have already seen a lot changes happening in Bali in a positive way. And there are a few things. I think the main issue is obviously we know what main issue in Bali, right? But where's the problem? There's an opportunity, right? So Bali will be eventually. It's good to be kind of in a chaotic world right now, but because then every problem will be addressed, and there will be, hopefully we can figure it out with the right people and the right leaders.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Questions. So just raise your hand, right? Wonderful. Yes. So Brother Guzman, we'll start over here with Sadi. While she's getting the mic, I didn't realize that, of course, I am Croatian. Some, of course, you two have met each other, but anyway, it's okay.
Of course, we are wearing red and white. We are Indonesian. We are sister too. So my name is Nilusari from Malaikat Hukum International Law Firm. I just want to show my support as Balinese woman to my role model too, because one time we have chatting and she said to me, "You should go to Davos." Wow. Yes. I mean, okay, maybe not this year, but you know, we should represent Bali in Davos. So 1 year time we will be in Davos. Okay. And then also we went to event and she really cared about, like, you know, event should have Balinese touch and respect to the Balinese as well. It really touched my heart. My question to you, Sister Ayu, is how do you define being Balinese modern time, combining the traditional we expect as a Balinese woman can inspire woman to be like you?
Okay, it's a good question. Thank you, Mosari.
You know what? That's also why we have questions, because I can't think of everything. And there, you know, here everybody is part of this brain's trust, this energy that is created, yeah? And it's great because then you lead it too. And that's the advantage of coming in person, because then, you know, again, this question here, our sister Nilu Sadi, you know, that probably wasn't a question that was on my mind, maybe not on yours either. Right? So again, it's gotong royong. It's mean the community comes together to solve a challenge, right? I love it. Anyway, please, your answer.
How? I think it's like just be true to yourself is the answer. For me, no matter where I go or where I live, I'm always gonna be Balinese. And the way I think when I'm in Bali, when I'm in my community, Balinese community, and people often shock, "Oh my God, you still speak Balinese?" I'm like, yeah, of course, I speak Balinese, you know? It is not to change who you really are, and you still can be innovative in the same way. And that's one I love to see at Bali, you know, like, okay, we don't need to change the infrastructure or maybe like, you know, the developments of like, okay, the Balinese things, but you know, maybe certain things, our mindset can change, right? But we still have to be true to be Balinese. Go to the community. So pick the good things, but it doesn't have to be, what do you call it? You don't have to change. You have to true to yourself, I think. Maybe I'll give you the right answer or not.
There's no wrong or right or wrong. It's your view and how you feel about something.
Yes.
That's it. Love it. Now you have another question. Yeah, you have the mic. Okay, then pass. Anyone has a question over here? So we're going to go all the way over this side. Yeah. So just bring it over. Now, if anyone else in that area has a question after, please raise your hand. Thank you. So that way we can make use, and then we'll go back over here.
Thank you. There's a book called Managing Turbulent Hearts, which a Norwegian professor wrote about women's challenges in Bali, how they often have to suppress emotions, challenges that culture. I guess the question is little bit of what you touched about, but how did you get out of that enormous cultural pressure to find your place as a woman in Bali, becoming what you are today? And I guess the second is question, but I hope you never get tired of what you're doing.
Yeah, for those one who knows Balinese women, oh my God, our life is dedicated with so many things, and in so many, how to say, traditionally, women in Bali, we are actually born with nothing. What that means is actually we designed to meet someone and get married, and then we move into our husband house, and then we're gonna be there to help the husband and their family, so as if our family. So it's basically to run them, it's not like in the Western world, right? You get married and you have your own life, you don't have to be living with your parents. But in Bali it's completely different. You have to be married to the guy, and also you have to be married to the family as well. And that is where is the challenging. And then often, this is probably one thing that I do, actually why I empowering women in Bali, just because I want them to have a bit more skill, so that they can, if anything doesn't go right, they have a choices to build their life again. Because this is important to know of like you have a choices. Because like again with my earlier story, it's not nice not to have a choice. And that's why I try to encourage for like Balinese women to have more choices. So if anything doesn't go the way they want it, they can have different choices of their life. And then the second question is, I don't think I would be tired of doing what I am doing. So I'm like, this is just the beginning of my journey as entrepreneur. So yeah, I'll be here for a long, long time.
Ooh. Ooh. More goosebumps. Yeah. The question was, is she married yet? I think I know the answer, but perhaps the answer should come from you.
Yes, I am.
Love it. Okay, yes, my brother.
Yes, hi. Sorry, my voice. So basically, I mentioned at the beginning, I moved to this beautiful island 3 weeks ago. Actually,